Hi, this is Mark from Wiki Design. In this Elementor tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can pull off this cool right-click secret menu. So let me show you exactly what we're going to be pulling off in this tutorial. I came across this cool idea on this website right here called Arcade. So if you right-click on their logo, it pulls up all of their information on how to get, their brand guidelines and SVGs and all that. So I was really curious to see how easy it would be to recreate this effect inside of Elementor. So here's what we're going to be pulling off right here. If I right click on my logo, you can see I have the same information right here. So in order to follow this tutorial, you will be using a little bit of JavaScript and CSS to pull all of this off. This tutorial is going to walk you through how to pull this off two different ways. The first one isn't going to be using any sort of CSS animation like this, whereas the second way is a little more advanced, and that little animation that comes up, that's going to be the more advanced code. So let's jump into the back end and show you how I have all this set up. And here we are on the back end of this page. So this right here is the header. So as you can see right here, we just have the logo and some navigation. So what you need to do is, depending on where you want to put this doesn't have to be like on your main logo. It could be anywhere on your website. But the way you're going to pull this off is going to be the exact same way. So let me show you on the right side, we have the navigator open. So you can see right here, everything is sitting inside of one main container. Then I have the left container and the right container. So the left container has just got the logo. The right one is the menu. But if I open up the logo one, you can see I have another container right here called hidden menu. So what you need to do is make sure that your new menu system, you're just going to recreate it like this. So in this situation, make sure that it's a container sitting within the main container that you're going to want to have right click. So if someone right clicks this, it's going to show this hidden menu right here. So as you can see right here, let me just go through the settings. Pretty simple. What I did is I set a width of like 300. So you're going to want to go ahead and choose something that's going to fit well. So you're going to want to make sure to display it with pixels. It makes your life a lot easier. And then you could also declare a min height just so you can make sure that it's always the same. So in this situation, like 100 was good. This is important right here. You're going to want to make sure that your gaps are at 0 because what I recommend is underneath right here. So as you can see, I have inside of here, I just threw in an icon list. So you could throw in whatever links you want. So if you right click right here, these could be regular links, a button, even a video, whatever you want it to be. But in this situation, an icon list was a really easy example. So I just threw that in there. And then each one of these don't, go anywhere. It's just a test link for now. So now what we need to do is probably the most important part of this is to make sure that this is going to be inline to this main container right here called logo container. And that is because you want to have it where the menu is going to overlay on something. So you can see right here when I right click, it's going to overlay on this instead of like pushing all this content down. So we need to make sure that this is an absolute position. So on your secret hidden menu, you're going to want to make sure you select that, go to advanced. Underneath where it says position, just go to absolute. So when you do that, you can position it however you want. So as you can see right here, I have mine offset by about 21 was good. And then on the top, 80. Because by default, it's going to look like this. It's going to sit like in the top left over the logo. So you're going to want to go ahead and just kind of visually change it to be whatever you think is going to look good. So in this situation, something like that was good. Let me go to like 80. And then right down here, I recommend giving it a high Z index. So in this situation, just like 999. So that means that that container is going to sit above all of this other stuff. As long as these aren't over 999, you should be good. And now what we need to do is give it a unique CSS ID. So in this situation, let's just call it RT menu. So in order to follow this tutorial, I recommend just calling it RT menu as well. And you can always change it later if you want in the code. Now what you can do is make sure that your logo has a unique ID as well. So if you go to your main logo right here, go to advanced, and I'm just calling it main logo. So just like the other one, I recommend calling it main logo if you want to just copy and paste my code in, and it should work exactly the same. So now what we need to do is drop in some HTML or JavaScript code. So you could drop this widget anywhere, but I'm just going to go ahead and drop it underneath the icon list. That way it's just all kind of contained in one thing. And that's why I recommend if you go back to your hidden menu, this is important. You're going to want to make sure your gaps are at 0 because if you don't have that at 0, there's going to be this weird space underneath right here. Underneath where it says visit brand guidelines, you're going to want to go ahead and just make sure it's 0 so it's not going to show up. Then what you could do is just copy and paste the code I have in the description below. And This is all just using JavaScript. So I'm going to walk you through real quick what you might need to change if you didn't use the same IDs. So the only two sections that you really need to be worried about are these two right here. So main logo is what we're calling, of course, the main logo. And then this ID RT menu is this whole container right here. And then the rest of this right here, this is the non-animation route. So you can see right here, the way it works is it's just going to be a display block and then a display none. And this JavaScript is just listening for like a right click on there. And then it's also going to make it where the user can't right click anywhere, because right now I'm right clicking. It's not showing up unless I am on that logo and right clicking. So you can see right here, it's not going to work here. So that code down here is what's preventing that from happening. Then what you need to do is just one little line of CSS to make sure that you hide this menu by default. So I recommend going down here into the settings on your bottom left. Just go to advanced and just throw in this right here. So this is saying ID display none. And that's it. Once you hit update, and now if I go to the front end of the website, hit refresh, you can see it's popping up just like that. So it's working correctly. And then whatever links you have here will redirect the user. So you can just right click, make sure everything's working. And like I said, there's no animation right here. If you wanted to do like a quick animation, you could always go into this hidden menu right here. And underneath motion effects under advanced, right here where it says entrance animation, you could just do like a simple fade in and do that. So that way you don't have to touch any sort of like CSS code if you don't want to have that. So you can see right here, it does like a slow fade in. So if that's good enough, it's okay. But if I go down here and let's say I do a slide in down. So if you do something like this, you're going to notice that the animation is going to start like at the top and kind of go down. So it's not going to be a really good effect. So you can see right here, if I right click, it's going to like come down over the logo. So that's not exactly what we want. So in the next part of the tutorial, I'm going to show you how you could manually add any sort of CSS animation to this container. And it's really easy. Once you have everything set up, you just need to change out the HTML and the CSS. So let me go ahead and remove the HTML that you already have. So if I paste this in, you're going to notice it looks pretty similar. There's just a few different changes right here. So the reason why it's a little bit different is because you can't animate in CSS between a display block and a display none. The way it works is you have to then have a special class that you can then animate in between with CSS. So I'll quickly show you what that means. So just go ahead and paste in the code in the description below if you want to have the animation style. Now what you need to do is the CSS code is what's going to look a lot different. So if I go in here and remove that one that we already have. So as you can see right here, we have the regular menu, and then we have this new class called visible. So with visible, what it's doing is you can see right here, opacity 1, visibility, and then this is what's giving that little bit of an effect. So if I hit update, you're going to see now if I hit refresh, it's going to have this cool little animation like that where it kind of bounces in. So that's all being done right here with this CSS code. So now I can kind of quickly go through this code and show you how everything works. So this very first one right here is, you see right here it says 320 ms. So that's how long it's going to take to do the animation. So 320 milliseconds. And this right here is the cubic Bezier. So this is the way it's going to animate. And so of course this all just looks like gibberish. So what I recommend is heading over into this website right here. And what you could do is now visually change how this is going to look. So by default, you can see right here, it's always a linear. So if I go right here, it's just going to play like that. But if I start to go ahead and add different coordinates right here, you could see that it's going to change the path of how this is going to animate. So what you could do is do something like that. You could play it, and you could see right here, like does that bounce back. So that's what these numbers are. So if I go back here, and I'm going to plug those numbers into this system and show you how that looks. So that's how this animation curve is going to look. So as you can see, when I hit the play button right here, it's going to do that little bounce back. So you can see right here, if I play it, it goes all the way and bounces back. So if I go back into my example, it's going to play and bounce back. So that's kind of how you do these type of animations with CSS. So I recommend bookmarking this tool because this is really cool. You can kind of visually change these points around, and you can change how it's going to play. So if I wanted to have it where it goes slow and then bounces, you can go ahead and do that. And then right down here, it gives you the code. And if we go back to the CSS code, you can see right here, I'm making it where it starts at the top left. So you're going to want to go ahead and make sure your menu is kind of sticking to the top left. And for the transform, you can do something like this. So this is going to move the menu 0 pixels over, and then this 5 pixels is how much is going to kind of go down. Then the scale is at 0.5, and then you can see down here, it's going to animate to 1. So you can see right here, if I right click, what it's doing is it's going to start at the 0.5 and then scale to 1. So it happens really fast, but that's what that code is doing. It's animating from 0.5 over to 1. Then what that code is going to do is either have the visibility of 0 or 1, depending on which class it is that is being triggered. So that JavaScript, when you right click, is going to enable or disable this class right here called visible. And that's what gives you the ability to kind of flip in between the two. So when I right click, it's now going to be called visible. And when I unclick, it goes back. So that's what all this animation stuff does. It just kind of goes back and forth with this little animation right here. And that's it for this video on how to add this really cool right-click secret hidden menu. Let me know if you're able to add this to your website, and thank you for watching.